Mixing acoustic guitars can be tricky, and because of that I will show you my approach of mixing acoustic guitars with this song by Mark Skinner. I'll walk you through the choices I make so you can apply these methods to your mixes. Hi, I'm Marlon. The song has 2 acoustic guitars. These specific guitars have a Nashville tuning, which means that the lower 3 strings are in standard tuning and the upper 3 are tuned an octave up. This gives a very open sound, as you can hear. Let me show you how I approach these acoustic guitars and this mix. The first step I normally do before diving in any track is to make a global balance like this. The reason for that is that this way I will not over-focus on one part and make that one part too pretty. All elements of the mix have to work together. This balance will do for now. So the focus of this song is on the acoustic guitars. Acoustic guitars can have a low-end resonance on occasion. The guitar body can resonate at certain notes, like with these guitars. Mark recorded these acoustic guitars with an Audio-Technica AT3035 pointed at the 12th fret with the high pass enabled. Even with that enabled, there's still some low-end rumble. So I'll start by high passing the recording. If this was a standalone track, I might not low cut as much as right now, but since there are more elements which need to fit in, I need to clean up that low end to avoid problems later down the line. Next up are those resonances I mentioned before. The best way to make sure these resonating notes are tamed is by simply doing some EQing. There are 2 ways I like to do this. The first is to find the frequency which resonates and reduce it. And automate this frequency reduction only where it happens. This way you keep the low end intact and at the same time reduce that resonance. The second way is to not automate this, but use a dynamic EQ like possible in Fabfilter Pro-Q3. This actually is a quicker way, but you have a bit less control. Select a frequency again, set the right Q or bandwidth, and set the threshold and how much gain reduction you want. Find the right balance between reduction and not affecting the rest of the normal low end. I'll go with the dynamic EQ for these instruments. I want both guitars to play off each other, and because of that I have routed them to a bus and added compression so that the left guitar will influence the right guitar and the other way around. Compressor of choice here is the Fabfilter Pro-Q3 for its versatility. I will keep the attack slow to keep the nice transients, and the release will be fast. The compression will be subtle to have a bit of overall leveling on these guitars. Now I feel I need some more low end in the guitars, and for that I want an EQ with some mojo, so a coloring EQ. Not a clean one like the Fabfilter Pro-Q3 I use for resonance control and high passing. So here I will choose the Sonimus Sun EQ2, which is an analog sounding EQ. I'll leave the preamp on and boost around 145 Hz. This sounds more full body now. Now the transients, so the attacks sound nice and I want more high end, but I want them to sound splashier and more saturated. I could EQ it, but instead I'll use the PSP Saturator, which is a dual band saturation plugin. Let me dial it in. And while we at it, let me use the low end as well to add harmonics and thickness to the low end. This song by Mark Skinner was one of the tracks on the Featured Artists live show on Mike Enjo's Creative Source channel, where I am one of the guests regularly to comment on songs. Link to Mike's channel is in the description, check it out, Mike is great. The saturator adds a really nice touch, doesn't it? It really makes the sound of these acoustic guitars richer and more luxurious sounding. The low end can use some more control, so I'll use the good old Waves C4 and compress only the low end a bit on the guitars. So my method to mix acoustic guitar is to use corrective EQ first and then boost EQ with a colored EQ if possible for mojo and vibe. Okay, the acoustic guitars are pretty much set. Let's do the rest of the mix, because a mix is only a mix when everything which needs to be in a mix has been mixed. The cello is also a very important part of this mix, and let's work on that. This is also recorded with the Audio-Technica AT3035. Due to the frequency tweaking I did on the low end of the guitars, the cello comes forward already now. Basically I can do the same as with the acoustic guitars. Resonance control and high pass with Pro-Q3. and I will add the PSP saturator for that nice high-end saturation and harmonics boost. I only use the high frequency saturation. There are two programmed drum tracks. One is only kick, the other more a full drum kit. Mark the composer mentioned that he used the kick as a metronome during recording and he liked it so much that he kept it in the mix. You can hear that both kicks are somewhat conflicting with each other. I also really like the 4 on the floor kick, so I'll simply high pass the full drum kit to leave room for the 4 on the floor. And let me high pass that 4 on the floor kick just because the low end is extending beyond our hearing range. The interface Mark used has the option for a gate, which he used. At times you can hear that gate kick in, like on the bass guitar. The bass guitar was recorded direct in. Overall, the bass guitar is a bit too dynamic for me for this song. This is due to playing, but also to that gate kicking in. So the first thing I will do is to make sure the overall volume is somewhat leveled out. I will do some clip gain, and for that I will split the track where I want some boosts or cuts. Next up is to remove some potential rumble in the very low end. A simple high pass will work. Now I think that this bass guitar needs some compression to make this bass sit better in the mix. Nothing fancy, but slow compression, leaving the transients intact. The Brainworks BX Opto pedal plugin will do that trick. Opto compression is slow by nature and works really well on bass guitar. I leave the bass like this for now. You may have noticed I haven't used any reverb up until this point. Even without reverb you can hear the difference between the original mix and what I've done so far. I do think the mix can use some reverb because it's bone dry right now and I want some more depth. I want to have the feel that every instrument is in the same room, so I will be using only one reverb as a send effect and use the send of every instrument to dial in the amount of reverb. My reverb of choice will be Acoustica Silver, which is a convolution reverb with much tweakability. Let me adjust the reverb and set all send levels. If you like this video so far, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. This will make sure you will know when there are new tutorials online which will help you in your mixing. When I turn the reverb off, you can really hear the effect. So you could hear I was not after I have a reverb type of effect, but to add a sense of space to the mix, where you get the feeling you're in the room with the instruments. I'll add reverb even on bass. Now, since this song is pretty straightforward, I haven't done anything yet in regards of volume automation and small tweaks. I will do that right now. A bit more on the story of this song. So after the Creative Sauce show, Mark applied all comments we gave and he reached out to me with the new mix. The song already improved a lot with the second version and I proposed to mix this song for a video to show what my approach is, which is what you are watching at this right moment. Every plugin I used in this mix is linked in the description below. Watch the video which is displayed on screen and linked in the description to understand how exactly a limiter works. I'll see you in that video.